Fashion and costuming are artistic tools that aid in the storytelling and construction of meaning in a whole work of art. Choices of fabric, textiles, silhouettes, color, and structure, among other elements, are crucial creative choices that imbue visuals with layers of historical context and cultural signifiers. In this video essay, I will explore how Yinka Shawnee Bear's Scramble for Africa and Mary Simbande's Long Live the Dead Queen utilize the symbolic power of costuming to point out the paradoxes of colonial logic and rewrite widely accepted truths with humor. Born in London in 1962, artist Yinka Shawnee Bear spent his formative years living in post-colonial Lagos, Nigeria, before returning to London at 17 to study art. Shawnee Bear's background as an Afropolitan, a term coined by Nigerian and Ghanaian writer Tai Selesi to describe multicultural Africans with different ethnic mixes living and learning around the globe, situates his work within a globalized conversation of art history as it relates to Africa and Europe. In his 2003 installation, Scramble for Africa, 14 headless mannequins representing the 14 European powers sit around a table with the continent of Africa imposed onto it. Theatrically gesticulating a tableau from the Berlin Conference, the figures are costumed in Victorian tailored suits made from vibrant Dutch wax fabrics. These textiles are widely assumed to be indigenous to the continent and have been tied to conceptions of African aesthetics. However, their origins bring us to the colonial Dutch Empire, where the prints were manufactured by appropriating and industrializing the Indonesian practice. The Dutch fabrics were intended for Indonesian markets, but were rejected due to design flaws and were instead sold in the Dutch colonies in Africa. Thus, the fabric maps a rich colonial history. The comical juxtaposition between the traditionally Victorian silhouettes made from culturally African textiles acts as a reminder that European wealth was derived from the exhaustive exploitation of the African colonies. The textiles also serve to disrupt the European construction of a fixed African identity because they represent globalized cycles of appropriation, reclamation, domination, and colonization, pointing out that notions of identity and culture are constitutive and in constant communication with infinite historical moments. By bringing the wax prints, which were discarded to African markets because of defects, into the hegemonic institution that is an art museum, this work exposes the hypocrisy of the Western art world and what it deems as waste versus fine art. Similarly, South African artist Mary Simbande, based in Johannesburg, uses fashion in her sculptural installations to interrogate the legacy of colonialism and apartheid within the contemporary politics of labor and feminism. In Simbande's collection, Long Live the Dead Queen, she uses her own body to mold Sophie, the artist's alter ego, who is also representative of the generations of domestic worker women in her family. Today, I will be focusing on the costuming of a 2019 iteration of this character, titled Sophie Tombikyasi. Here, Sophie is dressed in a traditional maid uniform, complete with an apron and head wrap turned ball gown. The sleeves dramatically puff out in a style akin to royal garb of the Tudor period of England, worn to signify the magnificence of the monarchy. The dress is a deep purple, further symbolizing the garment and its wearer as powerful and autonomous. This fashioning rewrites the colonial-imposed identity of Black South African women who were forced into decades of servitude and silence. Instead, the clothing Sophie wears shines a light on the underappreciated hand South African women had in the liberation struggle for ending apartheid. The transparent blue tulle that covers the purple skirt is an ode to the muted blues of Victorian-era maid attire, as well as blue-collar workers. The movement of the fabric gives the illusion that the blue is dissipating and dissolving to reveal the rich purple underneath. Thus, Sophie is quite literally shedding colonial expectations to reveal her actualized agency. The costuming in both Mary Simbande and Yinka Shawnee Bear's installations use a framework of parody and appropriation to criticize and subvert colonially constructed common sense. Through symbolic textiles and fashion, These works posit an artistic pathway to reshaping the conceptual landscape of Africa with humor and satire.